Good afternoon. Today we are talking about deal funnels, and especially in today's real estate climate when good deals are very hard to come by, how you can add more deals into that deal funnel. So hopefully in turn you can acquire some more properties. If you have any questions about building a deal funnel or real estate investing, you can just go over to callseth.com and we can set up a one-on-one Zoom call and talk through everything with you and get you all set up. So deal funnels, why do we need a deal funnel? Well, the short answer and probably the simplest answer is, well, the more deals that go into the funnel, the better quality content comes out the bottom in terms of deals under contract and closed deals, which is exactly what we want to get. And the whole reason we need lots of deal inflow at the top is not every deal is going to make a good investment property. And you have to kiss a lot of frogs before you get your princess or your prince, depending on which way you roll. So usually when we're looking at potential deals, it goes something like this. So at the very top, let's say we're looking at 200 potential deals that get sent our way. Lots of investors, when they're really rocking and rolling, they're looking at a couple hundred deals every couple weeks, depending on how good their flow is. So we're going to use some real numbers today. We're looking at 200 deals. Out of those 200, you're going to have your rough criteria, just because you can't fully underwrite every single deal going the full way, just because you would get so bogged down. So you have good rules of thumb. So let's say out of those 200, you end up with 50 that you're going to take a closer look at and really do some hefty due diligence on. After you go through those 50, maybe you'll find 10 that warrant writing a letter of interest if you are going after some larger commercial properties, or this could just be calling up brokers and putting in offers if you're looking at smaller residential properties. The good thing is, even though there are differences between, let's say, single family homes and larger multifamily and commercial properties, it doesn't matter which type of asset in real estate you are buying. Out of those 10 LOIs, you might get one or two, or maybe three that give you a sign back, or you move to a best and final round, especially in today's market. And then out of that, you might get one deal that closes, and then you do your happy dance and celebrate because you have a new property in your portfolio. So we went from 200 potential deals, and we weeded it down until we got one. And this is just the fact of life right now. I interview lots of real estate investors on my podcast, Purchase to Profits, about what it was like scooping up deals at the bottom of the market in the recession in 2008. But in today's climate, it's really hard to get deals to pencil out. So this is what we're going to be going on today. And I was very afraid or worried before we started this because my eraser, I thought it had grown legs and walked away on me. But it turns out it was just sitting here the whole time on the bottom. I looked for probably about 10 minutes trying to find this thing. And I had a backup Kleenex just in case. So luckily it's here today. So how do we get more deals in the top of our funnel? Because like we saw in the example, we had 200 deals to start with just to get one deal to close. Well, there's a couple different things we can do. Today we'll talk about three. So the first thing will be real estate brokers. Especially right now, lots of vendors are going through a real estate broker with the larger commercial properties because there is such a demand for the product. You're getting multiple offers, and the sellers are getting some great prices and great terms to boot. So, brokers. And I'll just draw our little funnel here, so we're going to put brokers in here. So how do brokers help? Well, brokers are always hunting for deals to put into their deal pipeline or deal funnel so they can sell them to a buyer. So real estate investors and real estate brokers are going to be doing lots of the same things because we're both trying to generate leads for potential listings in the broker's case or contracts for the investor's case. So with the real estate broker, what are some strategies we can use to get brokers to send us deals? Well, before we even talk about that, we have to figure out or understand how real estate brokers get paid. Real estate brokers get paid by closing deals. They don't get paid for emailing out deals. They don't get paid for showing properties that don't close. So if we are approaching a new real estate broker, and trust me, I know, I've had my broker's license for 11 years. If you're just calling random people up and saying, hey, listen, I want to buy a property, and you're not giving them any background, if you're just expecting phone calls to do the trick, that is not going to work for you, because these real estate brokers have built up a database of people who they know, who they trust, who they know they can close on a deal. And let's say we're talking about a 200-unit multifamily property. Having that deal close is a really big deal. The seller needs to make sure they close, and so does the broker, because the broker wants to get paid. No deal, no closing equals no paycheck for anybody. And especially now, when I'm speaking with brokers, their main concern is having people, when they put a deal under contract, seeing that through all the way to the closing day, because now people are running into some issues. So how do we get in front of brokers and actually have them speak to us and take us seriously? Well, my first suggestion would be getting a warm introduction. So let's say you are exploring a new real estate market and you know some people already operating in that market. Call them up and say, hey, listen, can you introduce me to so-and-so broker if you know them? Or do you know any good brokers looking in this niche? Maybe you have a good friend who is investing in industrial properties, and they've been in that market for a while. Chances are they will have rubbed shoulders at some point with a real estate broker that does multifamily, if that's your niche, or industrial, or retail, or office, or whatever you want to buy. So that would be one. Number two, go visit them in person. There's something to be said for face-to-face contact, a handshake, you look somebody in the eye. Lots of times, especially today, people just send 50 emails out and they wonder why they don't get a response. Well, you have to actually go out, show you're serious. And from the broker's perspective, anybody can send an email. It's so easy to blast out and spam 100 different real estate brokers in a market. It's another thing to hop in the car, hop on a plane, go spend a couple days in that market, meet people, go out for lunch, grab a quick dinner, sit down in their office, go over your long-term plans. That adds a lot of clout. Plus, you can throw in a couple rounds of golf if you're so inclined. So if you do want to go golfing in a new real estate market, go to callseth.com and we'll book a tee time for us, and then we'll talk about some real estate too. So I just wanted to throw in that golfing plug. Other ways we can contact brokers. Well, if you're looking for commercial properties, you can go on LoopNet and see which brokers have what listings, and if the listings are kind of the type of listings you would go after, call them up, introduce yourself, and book a time to meet with them in person. And if you can't meet with them in person, set up a Zoom call. This is great. This is just like what we do at callseth.com, where we can sit down, we see each other on the computer screen, we can talk. It's so much better than an email. So if I can give one piece of advice for having brokers send you deals and fill up your deal funnel, is don't send emails. Pick up the phone and call and set up face-to-face meetings. Another avenue we can explore is property managers. Why would we want to have property managers in our pipeline for our deal funnel? Well, property managers are dealing with owners every single day. Chances are the property manager is going to know who's thinking about selling, who's having issues with their property, who wants to get out, far before the brokers do. Most people, when they want to sell a property, they'll call up the real estate broker and say, hey, listen, I've been thinking about selling. What do you think the fair market value is today? What's the market looking like, etc. Far before that phone call happens, the property manager has an inkling about what's going to happen. Maybe they've had discussions about a property not going well, or maybe the owner is not paying as close attention to the property as they should be. And that's a form of property distress. And we'll talk about that in another video when we talk about the 3 types of distress. And one of them, professional real estate investors do not care about. So you'll have to stay tuned for a future video on market distress. So property management, how do we get a hold of property managers? Again, we don't send out emails. We pick up the phone and call. Warm introductions are great. If you already have properties in and around the area, this is awesome because you already have a connection with that property manager. But let's say you are exploring a new market and you don't have a footprint there, you don't have a network. Well, you need to interview property managers for your future purchase. So as you are meeting and vetting property managers, you can ask them about their deal pipeline. Hey, do you know anybody thinking about selling? This is the type of product I'm going after. And especially with property management, it's so important to make sure the skills of the property manager align with the property that you have acquired. There's no sense in acquiring a double A type of property, or let's say an A class property, if you have a Class C specializing property manager. So as long as you're meeting and vetting property managers that operate in your specific niche, you're going to have some really good opportunities presented to you by the people actually working with the tenants and working with the sellers on a regular basis. And the third part of our deal funnel is sellers themselves. Go direct to the seller. And why would we want to go direct to the seller? Well, reason number one is you're dealing with, you're getting the message from the horse's mouth, if you can say so. So that having that communication works. As a buyer, you're most likely to get better terms if you're dealing directly with the seller, because the real estate broker wants to sell the property for the highest amount of money and get the best terms, and they also want to get a paycheck. Especially with these large commercial deals, these are a little bit more complicated to put together. Sometimes going direct to the seller, if the seller, there are so many different situations that a seller can be in that will want them, that will have them sell that property. So going directly to the source is often best. So how do you get in front of sellers? Well, a couple different ways. Public records, whether it's your county, region, depending on which country you're in, Canada or the United States, there are public records for ownership of properties. With larger deals, they're going to be under LLCs, etc., but there are ways to find the actual owners of those corporations, and you can pick up the phone and call them, or send them a letter, call them, then visit them in person. Don't send emails. I guess, you know what? First, when I say don't send emails, I think I should have changed the title of today's episode. Don't send emails to people. Pick up the phone and call them. It's a lost art. But talking to people on the phone makes a really big difference. So you're finding all the different properties in the niche that you're looking for, or niche, depending on which side or which state or province you're in. You're picking up the phone, you're calling them up and saying, hey, listen, I'm a buyer interested in this property. This is my track record. These are the people on my team. We are seriously looking at acquiring properties in this unit range and this type of area. Would you be interested in selling a property if we could agree on price and terms? And it's a numbers game at that point. Anybody who's done cold calling or outbound sales knows that you just have to dial through, and then it's almost like a funnel, a direct sales funnel for your deal funnel. There's lots of funnels going around today. So we've got sellers. And then also another way to, you can do direct mail campaigns. This is similar to sending a letter and then following up with a phone call. Depending on where the sellers are, you can send a letter, send it snail mail, don't send an email. Send a letter, put a postage stamp on it, then follow up with a phone call. Lots of people will send postcards if they're doing residential properties. They'll blanket a postal walk and blanket that way. That's a good way to do it. But if you're going after these larger deals, a letter on your company letterhead goes a long way, and then following that up with a phone call. So why is it important to do all three? Well, you can't rely just on brokers, because you're missing out on some really good opportunities in property management. Can't rely just on brokers because there's some sellers out there that maybe don't want to deal with a real estate broker, or they haven't even considered selling until they get your phone call. So you need a whole different mix of different deal sources to put in your deal funnel. Same with property management. Lots of people don't even think about talking to property managers, even though they're the people working every single day with tenants and owners on a regular basis. And dealing directly with sellers, sometimes it's a whole lot easier. And if you both have, if the seller has an issue that needs a little bit more fixing, if they're stuck in a pickle, let's say the property is distressed, then working directly with the seller, you guys can probably negotiate a win-win situation for everybody. So let's recap. And as I erase everything today on the whiteboard, I'll just say if you have any questions about building a deal funnel or investing in real estate, just go to callseth.com and we'll hop on a Zoom call and I'll make sure all your real estate investing questions are answered. And if you could, put down in the chat, let me know the audio was good. Yesterday, the audio was lagging behind and I didn't realize until after the fact. So let me know if the audio was good. And if not, we will go back to the drawing board to make sure the microphone and the picture are all synced up together. I need one of those Hollywood clicker things to test things out. So, in recap, we've got our deal funnel. We've got 200 deals at the top, or that's 2,000, let's just say it's 200. 50 require more due diligence. That'll narrow it down to, let's say, 5 or 10. And then with that, we get one deal under contract. This is why we need to make sure, and real estate's a whole numbers game. So let's say we have 400 in our funnel. We double it, so that gives us 2 deals at the bottom. So the more deals we have in the funnel, the better it is. So if you have any questions about deal funnels, real estate investing, or anything real estate related, go to callseth.com and we will chat and make sure all your questions are answered. Thanks a lot and have a great day.